We have visiting with us today graduates of SAISD and parents of current SAISD students. And I am very interested, when you moved back here, why you chose SAISD, because there are parents and grandparents in our city right now who are making that decision. Where will my children or grandchildren go to school next year? And I think it's very important for parents. We only get one shot at parenting to make the best fit for their children. And I'm so conscious that parents be given information so that they can make an informed decision about their schooling of their children. You both went through the schools here, and tell me which schools you went to. Oh, first off, let me tell you, this is Blake and Tammi Vincent. And your children are in our schools, but tell us where you went to school. Well, Tammi, where'd you go?
I came here my 8th grade year, so I started at Glenn Junior High.
That's a hard year to move.
It is a very hard year to move, but it was great. I loved it.
And then went on to Central?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, Blake,
I moved here in the 6th grade from Lubbock, and then I attended Bowie Elementary in the 6th grade, and then Glenn Junior High, and then graduated Central in 1992.
Okay. And you all left the city for a while, didn't you?
We did.
And you chose to come back. Okay, now the truth. When you left here, did you think, I probably won't be coming back?
Yes.
Or did you hope to come back?
Well, we've actually moved away and come back twice now. So the first time we moved away, we knew that we would be coming back. The second time, no, I don't think we ever anticipated coming back. But we were fortunate enough to be able to come back, because this was home for us, and we really enjoyed San Angelo, and this is where we wanted to raise our children.
Well, so many high school seniors, when I interview them, say, I'm going away, and I'm going to the big city, and I'll come back to visit. And I think I probably said that. I know our oldest daughter said that, and she now lives in another state and would give her last penny to come back to Texas. I think sometimes we don't appreciate such a great city and a great place to raise children that San Angelo is.
No doubt. We have a ton of friends that are in the big cities, whether that's Houston or Dallas or even out of state, like your daughter, that would give their arm or leg to get to move back here, because, as you know, they want the feel of San Angelo to raise their children in, but in the community here, because of the size and the people that are here and that great West Texas feeling that you have when you live here. But because of sometimes their job situations, it's difficult for them to come back here.
Well, I think the strengths of this city are we try to replicate in our school district. Even though after elementary we have some big schools. Sure. You all have a child who now this year made the jump from elementary to middle. Now it's your oldest.
It is.
Correct.
Yes.
And you know, the parents that I have had conversations with, they have some of their biggest fears with their oldest child when they leave a 300, 400 student elementary and are going to go to 1,000 student middle school. Talk to me about, because I know you thought this out, because you could have, your child could have gone anywhere.
Sure.
Why did you feel it best a good match for your 6th grader?
Well, I think as parents, we all have that same common fear from that transition from elementary to junior high because of the size. And I think we all say, oh, is it going to be too big? Is it going to be a good learning environment?
Is it going to be safe?
Yeah. And I feel like But at the same time, I feel like SAISD just has so much to offer, all the extracurricular activities, and I just, of course, we're advocates because we went there, but just watching my oldest son, Will, move from 5th grade to the 6th grade at Glenn, I have just seen all good things. I mean, he's thriving. The teachers and the coaches just seem to really invest in the children, and he's doing very well, and I'm very pleased.
Well, and I think too, Dr. Bonds, that we actually, when we moved here, we actually had our kids in a private school environment
for 2 years.
For 2 years, and what we found with the public schools is that what's really appealing to us is that the variety that the kids have. When some of the private schools don't offer certain athletic opportunities, which is important for our kids. Not that it's important for us necessarily, but they have chosen. They really enjoy the athletic side of it as well, and they didn't have some of those opportunities at the private school level. Some of the other things, the extracurricular things that aren't also available, are available through the public systems. And then some of the things that socially, how because sometimes the class sizes or the mix that's there, they were kind of struggling socially in a little bit of a way. So the public schools, when we put them in there, although we had some of those same concerns that I think all parents have, is it safe? Can they get into a class of 40 or whatever that large number is, and still succeed and get the attention that they need in order to advance? I think everybody shares those same concerns, especially from that jump. But from our personal experience, it was right for our children, and we've had nothing but it's been just a positive experience, both at the elementary level and so far at the junior high level.
Well, we do have parents who have very honestly expressed to me, and I greatly appreciate people when they feel they can tell me what their concerns are about our schools, because a lot of things we can make better if we just know. And one of the things that has been mentioned to me is just about going into the middle school, that when kids are shifting classes, that's the time teachers really encourage them to use the girls' room and the boys' room, because then they won't have to leave class. Where in elementary school, they go as a whole class, and there's never more than 1 or 2 classes down there, and a teacher's right there posted outside the door. And so I have gone and asked students who are kids are honest. And I've asked, are there certain restrooms that you think we can make better? And we did work on one. Was pointed out to me in a school, in one of our secondary schools. So we did some physical changes to that restroom to make it where adults could supervise it better. It's we had supervision in the hall, but it made it easier to supervise. Have your children, and I hope you will be honest, has Will said anything to you that you would wish we would work on to make better from his experience?
It's funny you ask, because Blake and I are very open with our kids, and especially Will being the first to go to Glenn, it's a big deal. Our other 2 children are always asking questions, and we've heard some concerns from other parents that their children are not at Glenn yet, asking us, tell me what it's like, and is it scary? And we've asked Will before. We talk a lot about it, and we'll say, now, have you ever been scared to go to the bathroom, or have you ever felt odd, or is any older child there made you feel uncomfortable in any way? And he just looks at us like we're crazy, silly, and says, no, Mom, it's great. It's a great, fun place to be.
Well, and I'll give you also, when I'm thinking back when I was in school there, and it was a little different. We didn't go 6th through 8th. We went 7th through 9th. And I remember sitting around the dinner table a while back asking Will, I said, Will, when I was there, we had this area we called the mall. Okay, and the mall was this huge hangout area in between the classes, which I think now serves as a library.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, but between classes, do y'all, is it
Congregate
because
there.
that's when the trouble, if there ever was any trouble, that's
where
when
it
the trouble
started.
would take place in the mall area, because you had hangout time between classes. And he says, well, Dad, we don't have hangout time between classes. He says, I've got 3 or 4 minutes that I've got to run
A distance.
Straight
a
to
distance
class.
to get to my next class. And that's where I think from if I've anything pleased me the most was to hear that they just don't have all this downtime
Yes.
between classes.
Yes.
Because this is my dad, and he always said this. Actually, my grandfather always said this. Idle hands are the work of the devil. And I truly believe
I
that.
heard that in Mississippi. Well, I do know that principals have made an attempt to cut down spaces and time, even though on the other hand you want kids to be able to, if they're not in class with a friend, to be able to see their friend and have time to visit. But that is, if there is a disagreement or some kind of argument going on, that's when it'll take place, because
Absolutely.
teachers are by and large very vigilant while they've got their children, their chickens in the nest, but it's when they're going between classes or right after lunch or such. What are the things that your son likes the most, or either any of your children, about going to school?
Well, I can answer just the first part of this. I mean, of course, I told you earlier, my kids love athletics, and they just absolutely love the coaches and the team there. And I got to say, it's
At Glenn.
At Glenn, yeah. It's not, at this level they have it. But what I'm pleased to see is the involvement from even the higher level coaches, the central coaches, and how they're getting down to that level now and working with these kids and really, trying to, in a way, I think, I went to school from an athletic standpoint in 1992, and we had Shea Marin's and that whole team so we had this unbelievable athletic program, and I think that kind of went away for a while. And I think we're on the right track now with Coach Davis and the team that they're coming in, the new the administration from the athletic side, is that they're getting down to that level and working out. So when you say what does Will like the most, he from an athletic standpoint, because it's a big part of their day, and it's a big part of what he enjoys doing. He really enjoys the athletic side of it, but I know there's a lot more.
And I think
to
it's
that.
just real important that he says the coaches really hold them accountable for their grades, and tell them you won't play if you're not you don't have good grades, and I think that's it's just it's supportive and encouraging, and so we've really
and when as they get older, Charlie and I became aware that they were with our own 2 children more waking hours than they were with Charlie and me.
Yes.
And if they at both of our high schools, one of the things that we felt so strongly about from both Coach Davis and Sterling at Lakeview is that they have the release time to go down.
Exactly.
And also other head coaches, whether it's volleyball or basketball. And I've not known many championship programs that don't have that. And they're building relationships.
Absolutely.
They are.
And I check up, every now and then I will either ask the middle school principals in our city, and then also the coaches, all right, are you consistently still going? Even when it's not your season, are you still going? And both from an accountability standpoint, because I don't, even though I know they committed to us that they would do that, it takes a long time to get to know those younger children.
Sure.
And so if they're not going all year long,
Yep.
You can't get to know when a kid's hurting or when a kid has
Absolutely.
something going on in their life that maybe the family is not as aware of, but they
Right.
might talk to someone.
Sure.
You know, I was a fine arts person, and I was not ever, God did not, He totally left any athletic gifts out of me.
You and me both.
And but my fine arts, I'm so tickled that even at our middle schools, but even our elementaries have some of the best
Oh, yeah.
music and art teachers I've
Absolutely.
ever seen. And then on up through middle and high school, there's a lot to offer that I know.
Well, I think there's some new classes too, Dr. Bonds, that such as teen leadership.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was
Which
thinking.
is such a
It's one
great
of Will's favorite classes.
one of his favorite classes
Really?
because
And I
Teen
was
leadership
in
with
that.
Sharon Lane.
Yes, I visited that class earlier
It's a
in the year, and they were
wonderful
given, they didn't know I was coming, and they were given a speech, each child, and I sat through several of them, and I went, oh my goodness. It was not just their poise, but the topic was
Right.
so impressive that I'm glad you mentioned that.
He looks
Yeah.
very forward to that class. As a matter of fact, we were going to leave town early several weeks ago, and we had said, you know, we're going to leave town. Can we pull you out of this class? And he said, oh no, that's teen leadership. I can't
Okay,
miss
Mom,
that
math
class.
maybe
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
The good news is he won't let us at all even leave early to go on a trip. He's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss anything.
Well, because you know what, there's
He
a
loves
couple
his-
things is that the teachers are holding them accountable for homework and other things that you know. He said, Dad, you know, if I'm gonna have to play catch up, and there's just too much to do that I don't want to leave early, and that's a good thing too. I mean, again, if you know, I want to see the kids coming home with homework, and there's definitely plenty of that, you know, and things that also keep them busy.
Well, I think one of the things that a school district this size can offer that others might not be able to, or some of those fine arts we also, I know they might have had it when you were at Central. I am so impressed with both of our high schools, the different avenues that if a child has an interest, whether it's culinary arts or ROTC, and I see those, especially the ROTC folks, go down to the middle schools. And one, I ran into a parent or a grandparent at the grocery store, and they said, I heard the ROTC came down to the middle school, and at first when I heard that, I thought, Dr. Bonds is trying to make soldiers out of our children. And I said, you know, if I tease about this, but if I could design the requirements for high school graduation, I would have every child go through culinary arts and ROTC.
Yes.
I'd be in favor of it as well.
Well, one of the things that this district, I have been so impressed at both high schools, and it feeds down to the middle schools, is the opportunity for kids to see. I can look forward to that. And I hope that your children, as you did, even though are you seeing that it's different than when you all were there to some extent, what kids face, either the academic, the content, for one thing, I know is pushed down. Kids are learning at younger ages what we probably learned a year or two older.
Right.
But just what their discussions about what they talk about.
Right. It's hard for me to even. I'm gonna let her answer this one because I was an okay student.
Did you enjoy high school, Blake, a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. And I
had a great
excelled
time.
socially.
He had a great time.
But, you know, so the discussions that, like the classes that Will is already taking is more advanced,
Head and
shoulders
shoulders
higher than what I was, or at a level that
At
I wasn't,
sixth
in
grade.
sixth grade that I wasn't even taking them. But I'm not a
And-
good benchmark
is
there
also-
probably. So she would be the better
Well,
benchmark.
and Will is also in the pre-AP classes, which I think, you know, has really helped push him and challenge him in a great way.
And I know our children, and I think I have a good perspective. I've been blessed to work in some of our state's biggest school districts in the Houston area, and then some of our state's small school districts. And I was a principal in a small school district, and I was concerned that even though I know Paul and Craig got a great education and went on, our children both to great colleges and great grad schools, but they didn't have the numbers of pre-AP, AP courses that this district has. And this last year, we're able to push more pre-AP offerings down even to sixth grade. When those sixth graders moved up to elementary, of course we don't have pre-AP in elementaries, but we played a little bit that first year with one or two courses, and then I went over to interview kids. I talked to staff and I talked to some parents, but I said, all right, what would you like us to do to make it better for next year? And at the top of the list was make all the content areas pre-AP if a child is able to take those. And so we did. Last year was our first year to do that, and some kids are able to take pre-AP English, but they aren't as gifted in math.
Sure.
And so I just wanted kids to be challenged, but that is where the rigor, and you talking about pushing content down. A lady in my church asked me, she said, Miss Bonds, I don't think they're teaching my grandbaby handwriting in the elementaries like they used to. And I said, you are exactly right. Every child used to come out when I was elementary principal out of elementary with a year of good handwriting instruction. Some kids it helped and some kids it didn't. But we don't even have time to do that much because kids are reading in kindergarten and taking AR tests.
Well, and I also think too, in addition to that, is look at the technology evolution as we hand wrote papers even in college when Tammy and I were in college, and I mean now my 7-year-old daughter does everything on a computer and does it more effectively than we do. So I mean, not that handwriting is still not important or critical. I just think that with the evolution of computers, you spend more time turning in papers that are typed or versus they are handwritten. And I don't know if that's a reason for it. I think that's a contributing factor. Maybe
I think yours and mine we're both right. Blake.
Of course.
We've pushed it. They get very little instruction in it because of time, and then the reality is, from the time they're mid-elementary, much of what they're turning in is on the computer from what they've typed. Now, is that good? We could debate there are advantages and disadvantages of that.
Well, I think we'd all rather see your subjects such as math, science, or let's say more emphasis on your readings, math, sciences versus handwriting. I mean, at least I know how I feel about that. And I think most parents would say, hey, if anything's got to give, maybe that's a subject area or subject that could probably get less focus.
And you just hit on a topic about something has to give. And we sort of danced around handwriting, which in the long look of life has not necessarily made or someone's career advance. It's whether their thoughts.
Absolutely.
And the state, and I'm not a blamer. I like the fact, mostly I like the fact that kids are smarter than we've ever given them credit for.
Absolutely.
And so I don't begrudge the accountability that the feds and the state have pushed down. But the point is, it is the hand of cards we work with.
Sure.
Do you think, are kids still able to have some fun in school where they come home and and they talk about something fun.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Based on our personal experience, absolutely.
Will comes home every day happy, smiling, enjoys
Can't wait to
his
get
day.
there the next day.
Yeah, I don't know if I know any specific instances where he comes home every day just
Very happy.
very happy, very happy.
Well,
And my youngest son Cal will be there next year, and he can't wait to
Because
get
he's
there
heard
because
Will.
he hears all the great fun
Right.
stuff and stories that they're doing, and so he can't wait to
I
get
asked
there.
him just jokingly the other day. We were picking up Will, and we pulled into the Glen parking lot, and Cal was sitting in the front seat with me, and I said, "Now, Cal," I said, "really, your 5th grade year's over. Are you ready for junior high?" And he looked at me and said, "Well, yes." And I said, "Well, do you want me to come up here early with you and walk through the school and, let you get acquainted?" He said,
Yeah, right.
"No, Mom." I said, "Well, are you nervous at all?" He said, "No, I'm not nervous. I'm excited."
Yeah.
Well,
So-
if every family had a child that could go on and go through it and have a happy experience, the fears would be over. And I hope our audience has had an opportunity to hear a set of parents who are living it right now. And
I think if you spoke to more parents, if you, as you do this and you see more parents, we can give you a handful. Not a handful. I don't even have enough fingers and toes to give you names of other parents that have just had similar experiences that we have and really have enjoyed it.
well, I'm so glad, and I hope that as the day comes for you as well as our audience that have things that we could make better, most things we can make better. And there is a group of us who really care. I know our school board and I, as the leaders, the ultimate people responsible, want it to be where a child is getting a good academic education but is having an opportunity to find something they enjoy, so their strengths, and that we can foster those strengths so that they because there's more than just books.
Absolutely.
It's helping that child have opportunities to have to develop in a well-rounded way. I want every child to find something they enjoy doing,
Sure.
and this
And
school district offers a lot.
I think a
sure do.
large school district like this offers that, whereas some of your other private environments you can't.
Yeah.
And just because of their limited size and so forth.
It is extracurricular and things that are not required
Right.
cost. They cost, and when the funds get tight, as it has in the past in this district, sometimes the art and those things we cut back even on some athletics.
Sure.
So we're at a good phase right now in our city. A lot of good things going on. Thank y'all for trusting us with your children. We're going to do our best.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for having us. It was our pleasure.